Welcome to computerliteracytutorials.com. I am doing a new presentation. This presentation is how to encrypt a thumb drive with Windows and Linux guide. So I'm going to do Windows first and then Linux. Windows is pretty self-explanatory. Encryption, if you don't know, is when you hide information, or it could be you prevent someone from getting access to information by encrypting it with a password. And most times you won't even know it's there. You can encrypt the information and they won't even know it's there because they can't see it without the password. So it's basically putting a lock on your information. That's why I had the lock picture here. So this is good for Windows 10, 11 Pro, Enterprise. It goes for any Windows 10 or 11. It doesn't have to be just Pro, Enterprise, or Education. Excuse me. So the steps to begin is you plug in your USB drive to your system. You do the checks, safety checks, everything. You know how it does the scans for viruses and everything. And then you open BitLocker. So to open BitLocker, you right-click the USB in the file folder. Turn on BitLocker. After you right-click the USB in File Explorer. So I'll give you an example of what File Explorer is. It's when you do Windows key E. It's that little thing that shows all the files. I'll give you a simple example. So here I have Linux. This is like File Explorer, that little window that has Windows on it and it has all the files and homes and all the thumb drives. This is the thing that you need to go to. That's File Explorer. So going back, a very similar version of File Explorer, but it's for the Linux systems. So you plug in a USB drive, you right click it, USB drive in your File Explorer, and it says turn on BitLocker. Then it'll prompt you for a password or a smart card. Most of the people just prefer passwords. It's a lot easier, but if you're with a government organization or a company, you might want to use a smart card to be even harder to unlock because you would have to have the card present. To save your recovery key, BitLocker will give you a recovery key to choose one so you can save it to your Microsoft account. You can save it to a file to backup, or you can print it. Do not lose this key, because if you ever lose track of your password, you have no access back to that encrypted information. So choose the encryption type. Encryption types use space only, faster, good, or new drives. Encrypt the entire drive more secure, and is recommended to encrypt your entire drive. So to start encryption, you click Start Encrypting and wait for completion. Your USB drive is not encrypted with BitLocker. Most laptops and Windows desktops have BitLocker in the UEFI or BIOS, so your system should already have BitLocker running in the background. For Linux systems, I could probably do a demonstration. So it requires install genome disk if not installed. So sudo apt install genome disk. So let me go to terminal. Hey, what is this thing? It's freezing up on me. Sorry about that. Terminal. So I wait for the command prompt terminal to open up, and I'm installing the genome disk utility. This seems a little more complicated for Unix systems. There it is. Took a minute. So then I line up the thing with the thing down here so I can see both screens. And I do sudo apt install. This is if you don't already have it. I'm not sure if I have it or not. So I'm just double checking. I think I do have this. Gotta use my password. Sudo apt command not found. I know what's going on. This is Fedora. So there's a special command for Fedora. So I'd have to go. This is where using the Gemini chat comes in handy. So you go to Gemini Chat, command for Fedora to install. And I go back to my thing here, the other one, to install. One of these I had a, hey, it's pop, there we go. Genome disk. So go back here to the Fedora. Jeez, this is confusing with all these windows. Sorry about that, everybody. So it's sudo DNF for, I keep forgetting, it's APT for all the other ones, but for Unix it's DNF, not APT. So if it was like Mint or Backtrack or Kali, it would have been APT, but since it's Fedora, it'd be DNF is the installer. So I apologize for the inconvenience of this. That's where Fedora, that's what where the Gemini Chat comes in handy. So it's updating repositories. Nothing to do, that means it's already installed. Alright, so let me see if I can get a disk out here for you guys. There we go. Good. I'm up in the abyss here. So I'm gonna hook up a thumb drive. I have a really big one. I'm gonna try and encrypt it. So I'm hooking it up. USB-C to USB-C. But that's tricky. I got a USB-C to USB. Nope, this is C to C, gosh. Let me try that thumb drive. Hold on a second. I have to get a thumb drive out of my lockbox. I will be right back. It won't be very long. Hello, so I got the USB and I'm hooking it up. Alright, it's in. So going back to what we were talking about, Kubernetes. So for genome disk, you install the command that I showed earlier on the screen, which is sudo DNF install genome disk. If it's other types of Linux systems, then it would be the APT command, which was looking for it. Sudo apt. It would be sudo apt if it was other genome systems like Linux. So make sure if the other one doesn't work, try DNF. So moving forward, this is the, so once you select the drive, after you download genome systems, format encryption. So I'm going to go to my system here and format encryption on the drive. There it is here. So I right click, format, and it gives me a bunch of options here. So put my name OK. Since I'm not on Windows, I'm going to do fat file system. And then, wait a second. Let me go back for a second. Cancel. So this is the drive here. I hit the gear button. There it is. So when you hit the gear button underneath here, it should give you an option to edit the partition and encrypt it. I'm trying to find the right selection. So I'm going to go back here. It says choose format, partition, and select type encrypted with LUKS. So I'm going back here. Format encryption with LUKS. I hit the gear. Restore image. Here we go. So edit encryption options. I have to reformat this whole thing in order to edit encryption options. So let me see here. I go here, edit mount option. Cancel. I might have to reformat the disk. Stevens files. This thing is giving me a hard time. Stevens files. It seems to be stuck. You can only. I did not know you could. Stevens or Steven file. Okay. The Steven file. Okay. It won't let me write it longer than that. I was wondering if my computer was freezing up. So then I go to next. And then format. Now it's formatted. And now I'm going to see if I have the encryption option afterwards. It's still having a spinning wheel like it's developing something. So I have to wait. There we go. And then after formatting, I hit that button. It still does not give encryption options. Let's do restore partition image. Oh yeah, it's when you add an extra image. Let me see. Why isn't that giving me option to edit encryption options? Edit my options. Cancel. So edit partition. That's right. You have to do Linux systems. So I need to go back to what it suggested. So you do edit partition. I need to set it for LUKS. That's why it wasn't working right. So I have to go back here, right here, format, cancel, here, edit file system. That was the one, edit partition. And I go to here, Linux file system. It does not have LUKS, so The closest one, the reason why is because it's probably because it's Linux, so I'm gonna try LVM and change. And now I'm gonna go back here. It still doesn't give it. Let me add, this is where Chat GPT and Gemini Chat comes into handy. So you go and ask it, what file system in Fedora supports encryption? What file system do I check when I select partition format? BritExt BTRFS. Let's see if there's a BTRFS. I don't remember seeing that. So we're troubleshooting this together. So I go back here, go to here, and format file partition. BTRFS. Do you remember seeing a BTR? It's taking a while for it to load. Whoa. BTRFS. I see. BTRFS is not an option. You got to say what you see when you're troubleshooting in Linux. So for example, I'm going to say Linux LVM, comma, and then go back to where you were. This is what troubleshooting is when you try to figure out a problem. Linux swap, Linux. And the last one was Linux RAID auto. So RAID is a redundant array of independent disks. I think that's what it means. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty warm about that one. I stopped this response. Try it again. So you got to create a standard partition under Linux. otherwise this has to be a Linux by itself. So hit Linux, I change, set up partition types Linux, and then what else does it say? Once the partition is created, click on the visual graph so it is highlighted. Ah, that's right, you have to click the graph so it's highlighted. So that's the visual graph, I clicked it. Internal disk Linux ex4. Yep, extension for Linux. There you go. ext4, and I'll put Steven file, because you can only put so much stuff on there. Hit next. Format. So now it's formatting. There you go. So Linux is a little more complicated when you're doing it that way. So I cornered it to fit Steven's file, and then going back to the once click format partition, new window will pop up. Set it there. So now it should work according to what he said. So I'm going back here, going here. Format partition, select type loops to see if that will work again. No, it doesn't. So let's just see here. Files with common choice. So I did extension for common choice. So set password, choose a strong password. Alright, somewhere when I formatted the partition, I did not set a password. So I'm going back here, and then I'm going to reformat the password. Take ownership. Cancel. Format partition. ext4. Password protection volume with Luke's. That's where you go. So when you download this, the Genome Project, select the extension for password protect volume with Luke's, and then you do the volume name, Steven's file or Steven file. Hit next, and then it'll prompt you for a password. I'm not going to tell you my password. Next, and then hit format, and that's how you format an encrypted drive on a Fedora or Linux system or miscellaneous system that has Linux C programming language. So Windows is very straightforward. You just right click it, you just hit Windows key E, which is that little flag with the Windows sign, and then you right click it, select BitLocker, change password or set password, and your whole drive is completely covered. When you do Linux systems, you have to download the Genome Project with the sudo app install genome disk utility, or the sudo dnf install genome disk utility -y, and then you would have to format it. When you format it, you got to set extension for, and then Luke's password that will allow you to set the password. Moving forward, here's another option. You can identify your user speed drive, wipe the drive warning destroys data with this sudo command, create an encrypted partition with sudo crypt setup, Luke's format /dev stx, open the encrypted drive, sudo crypto setup, open dev stx secure USB, format it using this format command. All this should be done in your terminal, and then sudo this command. This cross-platform option for best Linux, Windows and Linux. So if you like virtual machine kind of thing, that or dual boot, if you need a USB drive that works on both Windows and Linux, you can use Encrypt, which works on Windows, Linux, Mac OS, strong encryption, AES, Serpent, etc. Portable encryption containers or full drives. Basic is install Encrypt, create an encrypted volume, choose a USB drive, set a password, format, and mount when needed. So everything will be saved on Encrypt, and then when you need to put it to a drive, it will encrypt it to that drive. So best practices is to always use a strong password, 12 to 16 plus characters. Keep a backup of recovery key. Don't remove your drive during encryption. Avoid using encrypted devices or unknown or public computers, and safely eject before unplugging. So when you eject it, make sure you hit the eject button on the USB drive on your computer. That means you would have to select it in the bottom corner in Windows and hit eject drive. There's a little digital graphic about how to do that. So Windows has BitLocker, full encryption. Linux has Lux, and then if you're using cross-platform for both Windows and Linux, you use Encrypt. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I had a good time telling you about how this stuff works. I'm trying to find, there it goes. Have a good day. And thanks for choosing ComputerLiteracyTutorials.com.